Welcome to No Hack Snacks, a series of short interviews with experimenters, optimizers, marketers, and product builders from all over the world. In this one, I asked Amrdeep Athwal how he applies digital optimization principles into real-world situations. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get more videos like this in the future. I have a question for you. How do digital optimizers optimize in real life?
So I've done this in both professional setting as well as personal. I was working for a large travel company based in the UK, and one of the things they wanted to do was reduce the number of people at one of the main hubs. So I ran an experiment to tell people who were near one of the small regional hubs, which didn't have a lot of awareness around it, say, hey, did you know you could also book here, right? There you got transport from your location closer to your device's location. And I was able to shift not huge amounts, maybe like 5%, but it was enough. And we were measuring also as well. And we had the little buttons that were like, happy face, sad face, neutral.
Right.
Was using the measurement protocol, sending that data into Google Analytics so I could see in real time what was happening. So on our busiest periods, I could see, is there a tally? Is there, happiness goes up when more people use the station and the busyness goes down. So I was able to prove that hypothesis and test that hypothesis, which is, I think, opened up a new world to me of optimization, real world optimization. And so I've been doing this in my personal life for years as well, everything from how best to run a half marathon to how best to do an amateur boxing match. It's a skill set you can use in how you stack your dishwasher. A skill set you can use how to plan a holiday.
Right.
It's a range of tools, I say, and I like to think of it almost like a superpower that now enables you to say, right, here's a thing I have to do. What is the best possible outcome I can achieve, and how do I get there? Then I think through that, creating those hypotheses, getting that data, that's the one thing. If you've got hypotheses and data, you're running an experiment. As soon as you realize that, it's a game changer.
I like that the process and the framework is basically the same, whatever you're doing.
Whatever you're doing.
Since you mentioned the half marathon, and whoever listens to this podcast, they know I like to talk about running because people who run like to talk about running. Run me through the process of optimizing your half marathon. Because I have one coming up in 2 months.
I have one coming up in May. So at the moment, I typically go for a 12-week training plan. I think I've run 6, 7 now. I signed up for 2, 3 others, which I had to drop out for. One was because of COVID, one was because of injury, one was because I actually had COVID. So there's 3 that I missed because of that. Typically, because I always do the one in my local city in May, middle of May. January is, I've taken December off running because I don't like running when it's cold and icy.
No one does. No
one does, so I don't bother. And January, I'll slowly build up from I ran for a run the other day. I think I did 2 miles in a decentish pace. So I was like, right, that's my base, but I need to get up to that kind of like 5K distance. And then by the end of this month, I'll be hitting that. And then one of the things I like to do is practice, look at my nutrition and say, how does what I've eaten the day before and the day of a training run affect my outcome in terms of how fast I'm going, how I'm feeling. I, like every run out there, I use Strava. I've got my Fitbit watch on, which also then sends my heart rate data back. So previously I'd been doing a lot of tempo running. So, my 2 runs in the week would be a tempo run, and then I had my longer, slower run. But I would always try to push myself a little bit harder in training than I potentially might do on a race day, but for shorter periods. And I thought that high intensity was best, but actually some of the latest stuff I've been reading is saying that trying to get more low intensity training is more beneficial.
Zone 2 for life.
Zone 2, right. So that was something I got started tail end of my training last year.
Right.
And I was like, actually, there's something there. I'm feeling less tired. I'm feeling fresher when I go for a long run, right? I'm not already pre-exhausted, which is actually probably, it's probably better training for running the actual race, but it's not good enough at actually gets you better at running. So I think, that was something I've learned. I've also learned as well as about optimizing stuff like the recovery. So getting as much sleep as possible, getting as good quality sleep as possible. So all these factors that suddenly realize that actually if you want to optimize it, you've got to look at your diet, your training, your rest and recovery, and also this, all the supplemental work you're doing as well. Because I talked about in my talk, I do lift weights and run, two things that normally don't work well together.
But they actually do.
They can do if you do the
really
right stuff.
Yeah.
So I've been doing a lot of lately. Lunges, because that simulates a bit of a running. So there, you're landing at 1 foot, you're taking that impact, you're coming back and recycle. So lunges, I've been doing a lot of another body weight stuff as well, but still incorporating some weights into there as well. Because I don't want to. I might want to be able to run a half marathon, but I don't want to look like an elite half marathon runner.
No,
if you know what I mean.
No, absolutely. But running is the perfect analogy for marketing, really, because you have your zone 2. This is your SEO where you have to do the work that's not going to pay dividends immediately. You have your sprints, tempo workouts. That's your PPC where you burn money like right now to get results as soon as possible. And then there's all of the other stuff you have to do that no one really tells you when you sign up for a race, where there's all the stretching. Well, if you're running and you're 20 years old, there's no stretching. Yeah, we get that. But for us, like you have to stretch.
A bit warm up, and a bit of stretch after,
yeah.
and then just I find keep moving. The last half marathon I ran, I actually then walked 1.5 miles home as well after I was done. So and that allowed me to cool down gradually rather than all bang all of a stop.
Exactly. So, but the key message here is the framework, the optimization framework you have. You have to start by having a goal, number one, like just like any marketing campaign, any race you sign up. You have to be able to measure what you're doing and the impact of things you're doing,
for sure,
as accurately as possible. Of course, measuring
from a sample size of one is not. Yeah, it's not always perfect, but
it's not. But you want to be as accurate as possible.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you have a spicy food for dinner and go for a run tomorrow morning, bad things might happen.
It's how I discovered. I was like, I run better first thing in the morning. All my afternoon runs are much slower, much
because
harder
food,
perceived after. Right, because the stomach's taking away blood for doing other things. Whereas in the morning, no food, just maybe a energy gel with some caffeine in it, bang, out the door. That's perfect. You're light as well because you've been.
I couldn't agree more. Like that is just the perfect way. Also, I'll just share a funny story I had. When I was training for my first marathon a few years back, I tested a lot of brands of energy gels. Like I really, you try them. You don't want to take.
I found one and I don't change it now.
There we go. You don't want to take a new brand to a marathon because bad
nothing
things
new
will
on
happen.
race day.
Bad things will happen.
Nothing new on race day.
A few months after, I go to a half marathon and a friend gives me an energy gel. I didn't have one. Sure, I'll take it. I threw up at 9 kilometers. It was, and I finished, but it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
So yes, running is marketing.
Yeah.
You're running marketing campaigns, whatever you call it. This was a great little chat. Emo, thank you for being on the podcast.
No worries. Happy to be there.